Hello and welcome to Mobile Youth TV. My name is Graham Brown. Did you know by 2012, 1 in 5 of the world's mobile-owning youth population will be living in this market, and this market is India. And to talk about this market, I'm joined by two guests today. My esteemed colleague, Freddie Benjamin.
Hi, Graham. Thank you.
And we're privileged to have Samyak Chakrabarty from Concria to join us here. How are you doing, Samyak?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
What have you been working on the last 6 months? Just give us an update.
Currently, I've been really working on expanding my network of students in campuses because we wanted to expand the number of insight seekers that we had. Since we started working on what Mudra is doing right now, so we assist them on Aircel, Samsung, Airtel even. I'm going to start something with Blackberry in the next 1 month. We've been working on Dell as well. Mudra just won the account for Uninor in India. We already started doing all the campus activations for Uninor.
Okay, so you're going out there, and how are you building out these networks of students?
Because I'm doing a lot of events. For example, I'm doing a very big TEDx youth conference. So that becomes like a center point for me to meet different students, and without them knowing, I get to, know how good they are and what kind of convincing power do they have, and based on that, then we do recruitment. Because there's no like one website or one job opening where people can apply, because we need to find them.
Okay. It's kind of a new approach, isn't it, in India, sort of going out and doing the offline social network building? Well, two things really. Firstly, how do you find big organizations respond to that? And secondly, how do students respond to it?
My first challenge from the organization perspective was that when the network would be used for word of mouth, they would ask for conversions and numbers, and that was the initial challenge to prove to them that this kind of concept works. And I've come over that challenge because I have successful case studies of Youth Portal, and we did something for Virgin and doing something for Pepsi. In February, we did like a dipstick 40-minute work. So I've come across that challenge. And when it comes to the students, I realized that this model can only work if they really like the product that they're evangelizing. So I can't force a guy to like a Blackberry and then go sell it if he genuinely does not like it. So the challenge we face is that if we are going to ask any student to evangelize any brand, first he must find the connect with it, and that's a critical part. But once we overcome that, then it's a very successful model.
In theory, it all sounds great. The telcos love it because it appeals to them in the sense they're doing something beyond just simply advertising to this group. But I think where the momentum runs out is where it comes to metrics, trying to convince them that these metrics apply to this scenario, because they understand that the basic cost per metrics, they understand the return they get if they buy print or buy TV. But when they do things like this, they can't really fit it into that parameter of understanding. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that was the key problem that I always had, right? But then what I tried to explain to them, what I actually did is when I was in Bangalore, there's this guy called Derek Jones. He's the head of Saab Miller in India. I actually took him out for a drink at a bar. And he pretended not to represent, he didn't represent the company, he pretended to be himself. And I asked to see for himself as to why people are not consuming his beer brand versus they're consuming Kingfisher, and the sheer power of word of mouth that it has to influence and induce consumption, because we took him along with a group of 10 to 15 guys who are our transmitters, and what they usually do, and it worked. So the only way we can do it, no amount of explaining inside a boardroom meeting will work unless we actually convince to take the manager or the marketing guy with us and prove to them that it works. So yes, it's a slow process, it's intensive, but it's successful.
Alright, so basically what you're saying is it's more of an ethnographic approach by actually taking them out of their offices, putting them in situ. They actually get to see the world differently. How do they actually see things differently? What do they walk away with?
I think what they really learn and what they really see is that what they assume about you sitting in their offices is completely different from what reality is. And that's something that I've been saying at all the forums that speak in India or wherever, that youth cannot be defined. And your knowledge about youth is as old as it was yesterday, because young people are continuously evolving. The most important and the most beneficial thing to do is continuously be connected to them. And that's one learning that they take back with them, and that's what brings me business.
And do you have any specific insights or anecdotes of what they saw which they didn't really know before they went on campus?
Yeah. Two cases. One with Blackberry. We were pitching for the Blackberry campus activation business. So I took the marketing woman out into a campus pretending as if she's a friend of mine. Her belief previously, before doing this exercise, was that because Blackberry is like this cool smartphone, young people those who could afford it, would automatically buy it because of the whole BBM culture and the whole BBM phenomena. But the reality was that most young people saw the BlackBerry as a very boring, fatherish kind of phone. And it was actually the girls who were buying BlackBerry for some odd reason, perhaps because, they wanted to feel more empowered. That's when she realized that currently the image of her phone in India, and especially in the youth, is still a business phone and not a smartphone. And that's one of the key things she has to change. And the result you will see is that a lot of the campaigns that are going to be rolled out, even though we are not rolling them out, but she took back her learning, and a lot of the ads that are going to come out are going to be more vibrant and have more representation of young people in that.
All right, so you were saying that it was the girls that are the transmitters in this scenario. Do you know why that was?
One of the reasons why I think is this whole race of women empowerment going on in India, and every girl wants to be as empowered as her father is, and if her father owns a BlackBerry or most successful owner of BlackBerry, she also wants to own a BlackBerry because that would define her success.
All right, so for young women, it really represents the nearest thing they can get to a rival, save buying a car or getting their own property.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Okay, good. Well, let's talk about some of your experiences of working with young people on campus. You've obviously been immersed in that area for quite some time. So what sort of things are you seeing young people do with their mobile phones on campus in India? Is there any sort of interesting developments there?
This is something that I've been observing myself, and it's slowly, continuously being proven by whatever insights we get from our transmitters, is that while mobile is a media that sticks to them throughout their 24 hours, even when they're sleeping, they have their mobile next to them. But now I think the importance of the mobile phone in some areas is beginning to reduce, areas which are already saturated. Whereas the new markets, which are the tier 2, tier 3 cities, the importance of the mobile is rising. Young people are no longer excited to own a mobile, something that they like to have, but they're no longer excited. That whole thing of, oh my God, I have an Android, I have an iPhone, look at this, look at that. That in certain areas, especially in the urban elite areas, there's sort of a saturation happening. But at the same time, in the new markets, that's where the opportunity lies.
Right, okay, so they've moved beyond the fact that having a mobile is a sign of status in itself. Maybe they're looking at what goes on the mobile really as the next point of differentiation.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a growth in the tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. That's really where you're probably going to see more of the status phones being bought, or a growth in that area as well.
Right.
Okay. Some of the things we've observed in India, it'd be interesting to see what you think of these. Freddie, you've been following. Have you got any questions on that?
One of the things interesting here in India is that how young people communicate with each other through missed calls. So you give someone a missed call, that means, either come out and meet me or I'm here waiting for you. In your experience working with young people, how has that evolved and what are your views on it?
After the whole phenomena of 1 paise per second calling, I think the missed call culture is declining. Because earlier you were right that, a missed call signified a message. It's like a Morse code. It's either come down or call me back or I'm waiting for you or a reminder, etc. But I think now slowly that habit is declining because now I can call for 1 paise per second, and I just might, if my call lasts for 10 seconds, I don't pay for the entire minute. However, that trend is not completely vanished from young people in India, but it's declining.
There was a similar trend in Japan when mobile really took off there, that they called it was one giri, and one means one, and giri means cut, and they would phone and cut the phone off after one call. When it was too expensive, it was kind of like a bypass, a way round the restrictions, but as phone calling became almost free, the thing declined as well. So it's interesting that it's following that sort of pattern.